Hello everybody, today I show you another live trade from today. At the beginning of the EU session, the European session this morning, it happened all so quickly that I had no time to start a live stream like the days before, but I managed to record this trade. I managed to push the record button of my software, and so we can watch the last 2 or 3 minutes of this trade. And this is the recording already here. I stopped and paused it for the moment, and then I show you the last 2 minutes of this trade. We are on the euro yen in this case, on the M5 time frame, and maybe you can see it here. It's a little bit dark here, but the trade was at this time already almost 70 pips in profit. And I opened it with almost 5 mini lots, so it's 0.47, and the profit at this time was over 200 euros already. I opened this trade the day before, and in the first hour of the European session, this trade was really in a nice behavior, and I decided that I want to close this trade at the moment when the candle comes to this red line here. This red line is a daily trend line painted from Metagrid, and my goal was to close this trade as soon as the candle comes to this daily trend line, because my thinking in this case was, and my plan was, that when the price comes to this daily trend line, it maybe begins to bounce again, and that we came into a drawdown again or rejection. So this is my target, and I closed this in this case manually. I had no trailer running. I simply was sitting in front of my screen and waited that the candle comes here to this red trend line, and we can now watch what happens in the last 2 or 3 minutes of this nice trade. So I start the recording, and then you can see the candles begin to move. I wait here at this time that the candle comes higher, and then the buyers gets even more stronger. It was a really nice movement upwards. I show you why I entered this trade after we saw this recording. Then I explain to you what was my trading plan. You see here already that it seems to bounce here at this area, and the signs are looking good that the candle maybe comes here to this red daily trend line, which is my target. With the Metagrid trading software, I simply can here click on close all, and then Metagrid closes this trade if I click the button. So I sit in front of my screen, as I told you, and wait here. And you can see now it comes a green candle here. We are over 70 pips already here at this time. And I was not sure if it will happen, but then suddenly there came this quick move upwards, and I was very sure that the price will touch this red trend line. And I'm waiting now, and you can see I move my mouse here to this close all button, that I can close this trade exactly in the moment when the candle reaches this red trend line, and I was very sure that this will happen, and we are very close now to this moment. And you see, now I closed already the trade. It was 1 or 2 pips away from this red daily trend line. And if I go a little bit backwards in the recording, you see I closed it here in this case on, can we see it? On, now let's see it, 86 pips in profit. And it was almost 300 euros in this case. And of course, we on a live account. All trades I show you are on live accounts, not like the other traders who use their demo accounts, and they don't risk anything besides demo money. My live trades are of course on real accounts. And so this was a very nice trade with a really high lot size in this case, and it worked. It came to this daily trend line, and now I show you the process why I opened this trade and what was my trading plan for this trade here. Now we are back on the live chart on the Euro Yen, M15 in this case, and you see here in the account history this was my trade you saw on the recording, and I marked here the entry and the target for you. This here is the green entry line where I opened the buy trade, and I opened it on the first minutes of this candle here. Okay, so this was the time I had opened this buy trade, or I opened this buy trade, and here on this yellow line, this was the candle when I closed this buy trade like you saw it on the recording. And if you look now on the trend lines, you see that the red daily trend line is now a little bit higher. It moved, of course, during the day because Metagrid calculates the trend lines several times fresh during the day. It depends on the candles, on the price structure, but on the recording you saw the red daily trend line was around here, and you see it was a really good time to close this trade, because after that we see a pullback here. It was going almost down to the entry here, not really, but halfway, more than halfway down again. And of course then it moved a lot higher, so I could even make much more money. But I don't like such big pullbacks, and I have my trade plan. I define where I want to go out of the trade, when I want to close the trade, and my plan was to go out of this trade on this red trend line you saw. And what was the idea behind this trade? Why had I opened this buy trade in first place? I switched to the daily time frame of this pair, and you can see this is again yesterday where I opened this trade, and this is the candle from today. So, and if we look back on the history of this pair, you see here this interesting pin bar here, which shows that it's the clearly rejection zone. There is support here. If you look here, I mark it for you. If we go here at the beginning or the end of this pin bar, you see it's the same place where price suddenly turned here in April and was going up, and then price came in July back to this zone, and from July, end of July until today, it moved higher, had a little bit pullback, and it was moving higher again. And it was, of course, a riskier trade today, because you see the price bounced here on this supply zone. The supply zone is marked by the supply and demand indicator, and it bounced really nice on this H4 supply zone. And I traded in this case based on the daily time frame against this supply zone. But this strong green candles here in the last days, even weeks, was, in my thinking, it was only here a pullback, a little pullback. Even if you had traded the H4 supply zone here, if you had marked here a sell trade, you had a chance for over 200 pips here, a rejection on this supply zone. But in my thinking, this here looked like a pullback, and then for going higher again. So this is based on the daily time frame. On the H4 time frame, you can see almost the same. This here was the zone I marked for you on the daily chart, where we had this bounce and this pin bar, and here was the entry of my buy trade, here the target. And you can see from the bounce on the daily support zone, we got then here a lower high, a higher low, again a higher low, the same with the highs. We have higher highs, higher highs, higher highs, and higher highs, until this supply zone you saw, that H4 supply zone. Then we got here this pullback, and like I told you, for me it looked really like only a pullback, because then it found here again support on this area, and from this area on it moved higher again. And so I saw this as a pullback, that price after that goes higher again. And now we are on the H1 time frame, and here you can see better why I waited that long for this entry. If you look on the H1 time frame and we go back on the left side, you see here this interesting zone. The price here had here also a pullback. It was let's see, on the second day of August, and we had here this little pullback, this nice interesting pin bar again, and after that the price goes higher here. And so if we mark this zone 2, you can see it is here in this area, and the price came all the way back here, almost again to this area. And so what you do, or what you can do, if you see such an interesting zone or area on your left side of the chart, you mark this and you wait really patiently until the price comes back or close to this zone, and then we wait really for price action, because the question is, if the price comes all the way back down to this area, which looks interesting here because price already bounced here, what happens next? There are only two possibilities. The first one is that the price will bounce again on this area and will go higher, or it will break here maybe this zone, retest this zone and goes lower again to this daily support I marked for you. And I zoom a little bit in now in the H1. So this here is now the area we are looking on it. If I zoom in, okay. Let's see. So this was close to this support on the H1 we saw, and now we look on the price action of this pair. Firstly, we see this interesting 2 green candles, which is already an interesting and good price action. So if you want riskier trades, you had the chance to go already in here in a buy trade if you wanted. But in this time it was based on a time where the day was already almost over, and I think I was in bed and sleeping at this time. So, but it was a chance to go into a buy trade, because we have this really nice 2 green H1 candles, and they knocked out all these little red candles. If you see here this movement, this candle came higher as all these red candles before, and it closed over this red candles here. It gave a little bit rejection here, because I think at the end of the trading day or during the Asia session, maybe there was some profit takers, so they closed their trades and we had a little rejection. But then again, the next candle is a nice green again, and it knocked out these next candles here. And then at the beginning of the European session, and during the European session on Thursday, we saw then this really perfect price action candle here, and I still waited a bit longer because I was not 100% sure that I want to go into a buy trade here if this is really only a pullback here. So I waited even 2 candles more, but then after the next green candle, which also knocked out all this area here. So with this move here, we knocked out all these candles, these downwards candles. And so then I finally decided to go into this buy trade. If you want to risk more, of course, the first chance was here, the second one was here, and I waited for the third and last chance to go in, because even if you have waited for this green candle, you had a good chance to go higher here, but you had then again this pullback you saw. So I think sometimes it's good to wait a little bit more, that you get more confirmation for the trade. Maybe you are a riskier trader, then you go in earlier, but you see this is really a perfect price action, and I ignored all indicator stuff in this case for this trade. I did not look on the supply and demand indicator only to see if I have enough room for this trade, of course, because if I had seen here, if we go back to the H4 time frame, let's say here on my entry, if I had seen on my chart that there is again a supply zone also, I think I had not opened this trade, but the way was clear There was nothing in the way to go higher here. It was all free. The road was free and clean. And so this was also a good sign to go into this trade here. And I ignored the order blocks because I only wanted to come into this price action trade. And price action is really powerful if you learn it, and if you watch your chart patiently and carefully, then you see such nice opportunities for trading. So this was the idea behind this trade. I hope that I can next time again go live for a live trade. In this case, it happened really so quickly and fast that it was not possible to make a live session, which takes some minutes until it goes live, and you have to put in some data for YouTube. And if I had all this done, then the trade was already over. So I decided to push only the record button that I can show you the last minutes of this trade. I hope you learned something with this price action trade. Until next time, see you soon. Goodbye and have a nice day.